thank you all for being here, and thank you to the Women's Commission for inviting me to present today. I'm just going to tell you right up front, I'm nervous. This is not in my wheelhouse. I don't like to do public speaking, but I thought, well, I kind of know the subject, so it might be a little bit easier for me. So I tried not to get too worked up about it, and I spent a little time throwing some slides together to help me remember, because I know Kristen told you not to do the math. I was 12 when I started, by the way. But anyway, I guess history means I've been around for a little while. So let me tell you a little bit about me. So I never really strayed far from home. I'm from West Michigan. I'm from Grand Rapids, West Side, born and raised. I had the most wonderful parents in the world. Unfortunately, they are both deceased. I adore them. They provided me with the greatest upbringing, and they had nothing. I'm not going to belabor this, but my parents were so poor. Never had an opportunity to finish high school, but they made the best of everything, never complained, and I was blessed to have them as my parents. I had 3 older brothers. Didn't really know them very well. When I was little, they were sent off to service, Vietnam, the eldest 2. And the younger one, who was still 7 years older than me, there was just enough distance between us that we didn't really get along very well. So I feel like they saved the best for last. And I was the only girl, and you might all think, oh, she was spoiled. Well, I was. Mostly when I was an adult, though. I had the opportunity to have an incredible relationship with my parents. They were my best friends. I did everything with them, and so that's where my true roots are, is in my parents. And my brothers are great human beings, very, very wonderful. Just honestly wasn't very close. I was a little bit like only child because of the age difference, and life handed us a few different experiences. So now I am married, 23 years. I have 4 children, 3 of whom are my stepchildren. They're older, they're married. I'm a grandma, 2 times. A grandson who's 5 and a granddaughter who's just turned a year. Unfortunately, my stepkids are all around, California, Georgia, and my daughter just moved back from North Carolina, so that's good. She's a little bit closer. And then the 4th child, my 19-year-old son, who actually is in the audience. I won't embarrass him. And I do appreciate him being here because that's a biggie. He is a Grand Valley student. I am very proud of him. He's a fine young man, and I'm sure it'll stay that way. So my husband is even more historical than I am, meaning he's old. He's retired and has been for 10 years, which is quite the gig because he has a wife that's 10 years his junior who's still working, and he gets to go hunt, fish, motorcycle, and everything else. So it's all good. He's having a great retirement. We have a wonderful, wonderful family, and especially now that the granddaughter is close by, that's a lot of fun. So that's my family life in a nutshell. As far as my leisure activities, I am type A all the way. I like to stay busy. I'm on the go constantly. I love to motorcycle. I do own my own road bike. I don't get on it nearly enough. My family, my husband and my son love motorcycling as well. We also do some dirt biking, snowmobiling, things like that. Anything outside is great. I'd love to golf and play softball and kayak. I'm not great at anything. I just like to do everything. And I am a foodie. I love to cook and I love to eat. So those are the things that are a little bit personal about me. So let me talk to you about how I ended up being a police officer. And if you have questions, feel free to write them down, or you can ask me at the end. I think that's always just a bit easier. So I mentioned to you, I'm born and raised in Grand Rapids, West Michigan. I'm a Catholic school girl, so we did everything right. We all know that. Catholic grade school, Catholic high school. As I mentioned to you, my parents were a little bit financially strapped. And so but they made it. They made us through Catholic schools, and so when it was time for me to go off to college, I started off at what was then Grand Rapids Junior College. So started off there and ended up getting my bachelor's here, but there was never any doubt what I was going into, what I was going to be when I grew up. I'm almost there. I thought about it, how I would present this to you, and there really was no great fun way except this. I knew that it was law enforcement. My other option was police work. And if that didn't work out, I was going to become an officer. There was nothing else on my radar. I really didn't want to do anything else. And this is going to sound silly, and for the people that know me pretty well, probably really silly, but this for me was a calling. I didn't look through a book. I didn't say, oh, you know, I don't really know. Should I do this? Should I do that? I don't even remember a moment when I decided. I just knew, of course, that's what I'm going to do. So going into law enforcement, it was immediate. I graduated from high school. I was a young senior. I was 17. I graduated. I went to CC. I went to the academy right away. Graduated from it was JC at the time. I was 19. I graduated from the academy in May of '84, and June 4, 1984, landed my first police officer job at 19 years of age. I was in seventh heaven. It wasn't a full-time job, but back in the early '80s, trying to get a law enforcement job for anyone was extremely difficult. Even for females, who we were the minority then, African-American males, African-American females, and females were really being sought out, maybe one here and there because the openings weren't there. But if anyone was going to get hired, it was those categories. So I put my job application out to every department in the state of Michigan and had them ready to go out to Florida and Arizona as well. I wanted to be a police officer more than anything else in the world. It was crazy that I sent my applications out and resumes out before I graduated, and I received the call from the city of Coopersville. I went in, had an interview, and the chief hired me on the spot. I had part-time, 36 hours a week for $5.40 an hour. It's the truth. I had to buy my own uniform, my own gun, and they paid me $5.40 an hour to be a police officer. But you would not have met a more happy person in the world because I made it. I got my licensure, and perhaps many of you don't know this, but if you go to a police academy, you have 1 year to get a job, or you lose your licensability. So if you don't get a job within a year, you have to go back through the system again. So it's very important to land that position. So I did. I worked for Coopersville from '84 to 1987 when I wanted full-time work, and I wanted something bigger than Coopersville. Although I will say to you, what an incredible time for me. Back then, there were 2 women in all of Ottawa County, one in Holland, and I should say I was the third, and one in Spring Lake, and I was the third. The Sheriff's Department only ran 4 cars back then: Holland, Jenison, Grand Haven, and Marne. 1 car for those areas. So working in Coopersville, I had the opportunity to respond to the Sheriff Department calls. I didn't have to stay in the city. It was amazing. I took so many burglaries in progress, fatal accidents. That probably doesn't sound nice to you, but it was very exciting as a police officer, all these incredible calls that I got to go on. But it helped me develop some skills that many officers don't have the opportunity because they're responding with multiple officers, or at least if they're not by themselves at the onset, backup is there quickly. I can tell you multiple times where I had people at gunpoint. I was on a fatal accident trying to triage multiple victims when I was by myself for 20 or 30 minutes. So it was an incredible learning experience for me, and will always be really grateful to the Ottawa County Sheriff's Department and many of the deputies who are still my dear friends that mentored me and helped me learn the job so early on. So in '87, I was able to land the job with Grand Haven Public Safety. At the time, it was the Grand Haven Police Department. As Kristen mentioned in the intro, in 1993, they decided to cross-train, so we went to police, fire, and medical services. I never had on my radar becoming a firefighter. And when the department said they were going that direction, I'm like, sure, I'll give it a whirl. We did have the option, and it was a lot of fun. It was a very exciting new career to add into my life. We had some great experiences, but I will tell you, even though I served, and I still hold my firefighter certification, sometimes I feel guilty saying I'm a firefighter because we do such a great job on the prevention end. Now with all of the systems and constructions in place, I didn't fight a ton of fires, so sometimes it feels a little awkward saying that, but the few that I did fight were incredible learning experiences, and I felt very fortunate to have cross-trained in that direction. So you can see, and Kristen mentioned, I was a sergeant, lieutenant, and those were some interesting times. When I first started law enforcement, as I said, 3 women in all of Ottawa County, which is part of the reason I'm here, right? Her story. Well received by some, not so well received by others. But I will tell you, I feel like the majority, they didn't make gender an issue. They were very good to me. But I will tell you, my expectation, I knew what I was entering. At that time, it was made very clear to me, and it was clear in my own head. It was a man's occupation. I mean, I still dress this way, combat boots every day. When my poor son hears your mom wears combat boots, I do. He doesn't argue with that one. So I knew what I was entering when I entered it. And so for the men that didn't like me, it was okay. I would just show them that it was okay. Give me a chance. It has nothing to do with my gender. I am just like you. I am here to serve people, to fix problems, to take bad guys to jail. And I will do it with you and behind you and in front of you, whatever you need. And so I think that went pretty well with the vast majority. I will tell you, there were a couple of the old timers who didn't like it one bit. And they would set me up for failure. They would send me into domestics, and they would wait. They would park on the corner and wait to see what happened. I would be on a traffic stop and engage in a fight with a drunk, and they would watch. And if it was a foot pursuit, I can remember specifically one old guy stood there and he was smoking a cigarette, and he said, "You went that way, kid." And I'm like, "Okay, thanks. Could you get in your car and at least chase him?" Just running after him. So, but really, it was nothing horrific. Or at least I never dwelled on it. I didn't want to be a victim of any of that. I had my equipment messed with a little bit. They would take some things or hide some things. I had my bunker gear damaged. So a little immature behavior, but nothing I couldn't overcome. And again, the majority of the people I worked with were amazing. I have met so many incredible people who I have the utmost respect for. I think it was just that whole getting accustomed to the idea, because 30 years ago, there weren't a lot of women in law enforcement. That's just the way it was. I was the first female hired at Grand Haven. I was the first, well, female promoted at Grand Haven. And so a lot of things that were first for everybody to become accustomed to. But the community there embraced me, and I honestly feel very fortunate, which kind of lends to the other reason when Ashley asked me to be here today, I'm like, I don't really have a great story. I don't have anything really interesting. It's just, I feel like it went very well. I feel so blessed and so honored to be in the position I am. And then here I am at Grand Valley. I'm like, oh my gosh, how does this happen? Kristen touched on the fact that I was an adjunct professor with the police academy. That was amazing. When I was working narcotics, I had the opportunity to come out and help with the recruits. And Terry Fisk, who was the director of the academy at the time, said, "Hey, we really need a physical trainer. How about you jump on board?" And I'm like, awesome. So I would come every day and work out with the kids. And a couple months went by, and he's like, "Hey, I need that paperwork." I'm like, "What paperwork?" He goes, "The paperwork for payroll." I'm like, "I get paid to do this?" What? Are you kidding me? This is awesome. So, I mean, my experience in law enforcement, in the training aspect, everything has been phenomenal. It really has. I mean, I feel great. Trust me, there are days, probably we all have had them, where I thought, what in the heck am I doing? And I did look at, I will tell you, there was one point where I did work for a chief, and I don't want to point out the bad, like poor me, but I did work for a chief who was not fond of me because of my gender and was very hard on me. And it did cause me pause. I thought, what am I doing? This is not worth it. I am stressed out to the max. I'm working 70 hours a week. I'm being set up for failure, and I thought about quitting. And then I thought, there's no way. So I made a conscious decision. I took a few days off, cleared my head, and I came back great guns, and I had a mission to win, and I did, because I stayed there. And now we have Grand Haven has the greatest chief ever, and they're going great guns. So it was worth it, and now I'm here, and I feel so welcomed. Everyone here has been so wonderful. You know, I heard before about, oh, Grand Valley's a great place to work, and you know, people like where they work, but here it is different. When I get to go to the new employee orientations and speak to the new employees, I'm like the biggest cheerleader. I could work for HR that day because I am so excited. Like, this is a great place to work. People aren't just saying that, and it really is. And the people that I work with at GVPD, you know, they say that you're only as good as the people that you surround yourself with. Well, I think my people would say I'm pretty great, right? Elise, huh? Okay. So I talked to you a little bit about my challenges. Finding a job, it was tough. Being welcomed in that time frame, nothing too challenging. Nothing that ever made me say, never should have done it. What matters to me and what has mattered to me throughout my career and what has really kept me focused is my family. But I'm ashamed to tell you, when I first wrote that, I put work family. And my own family will tell you, I have neglected them. So there's my confession. I am an over-investor. I have put my work family and my job before my own family many, many, many times. I don't love my family any less. I just really want to deliver, and I figure I already have everything set at home. Now it's time to go fix things here and serve others. And so I do work on my priorities sometimes. That's a big fault of mine. But I will tell you that the family I left in Grand Haven is near and dear to my heart, my work family. And the one I have already established in the 2 years that I have been here. And that is my department. I already feel very close to, and I would go to the ends of the earth for them. There are so many good people there. And the beautiful part about working in this university, and I hope everyone knows that I'm being very sincere about this, is the opportunity to establish relationships in different departments. Again, when I saw some of the people walking in, I was already nervous, but I went from kind of nervous to total nervous wreck. But just to see some of those familiar faces and the people that have reached out to me and have given me a kind word or spent time conversing with me really relates to the other thing that matters is people. I am a social, I won't say butterfly because that sounds very complimentary. I'm a social bug. How about that? I love people. I love relationships. I think it's extremely important. I think, honestly, I'll do a little self-analysis. I think it's because I had the greatest parents in the world and they taught me what mattered. And people matter to me. Serving them, taking care of them, protecting them. It's really how I feel. And sometimes I trip over my own self doing it, like either physically or the words that come out of my mouth. But what I want people to know, like if this was my eulogy, I would want people to say, she had a good heart. And it really is where I try to operate from. Sometimes that gets in the way when you're walking around with a gun on your hip and people think all you want to do is throw people in jail. It's not really all we want to do. You know, I want to make a difference on this planet or make a difference in this world. I want to take good care of all of you. When people say, hey, are you ready? If something like Oregon happens, are you ready? I'm as ready as I'm going to be. We plan and we practice and we converse. But don't think that doesn't keep me up at night. I have wonderful people, but my head is going a million miles an hour all the time because I love what I do and I care about people. And I guess I wanted to share that with you so that you know where I'm at and where I'm operating from as the chief of police here at Grand Valley. One other thing that I'll share, this is so hard for me because I don't talk about myself, but I'm going to talk a minute. You see Flay Hive up there. For some of you that might mean something, for others probably nothing at all. Scott Flay Hive, police officer, Grand Haven, shot and killed 20 years ago I was there. He was my dear friend. It was a jail escape, and bad guy had a rifle, and Scott approached the car, and he shot him and killed him. We couldn't get to him. Scott bled out in front of me. It was horrible, and I just got back in the cruiser and worked the rest of the night. And then I came back to work the next day, and we never talked about it. Scott matters. It's never left here. I don't need help for it. I'm good with it. I'm not telling you for that reason, but I'm telling you that that's the kind of stuff that matters. When you live and work in an environment that's not always positive, and you know that any given day you could be flay hive, you want to give your personal best that day, every day. And it's where I come from. It's what I want to bring to you. I don't want to hang on to anything bad that's happened in the past. I don't want to be a victim. I don't want to be a poor me. And sometimes I don't ever care if you look at me and say, she. Keep it gender neutral, because it doesn't matter if I'm a woman or a man. I'm here to do the job, and I'm here to do it the best way I possibly can and deliver the best services to this university and anybody that's visiting our university. So that's kind of over the years in a nutshell. And as far as my do-overs, I don't really have any. I am sorry to my family that I didn't put them first sometimes, but I'm not going to lie. I am passionate about my job. I love it, and I probably will maybe change my mind later, but I love how my career has gone. I'm excited about the experiences that I've had. I am so grateful. I am grateful to God. I am grateful to the people that I work with. I am so appreciative. So for do-overs, I've learned so much over the years, and I've met so many wonderful people and a few crazy ones. Men, I'm not talking about you right now. So anyway, really, no do-overs. So I'm at GVPD 2 years now, September 30. Do I get a snap or an anchor or something? Okay. I'm just kidding, I'm just kidding. So real quick, as far as the organization, I was tasked with combining Pew Campus security with our department, so we've done that. So we're in charge of police security and don't throw anything, parking. I blame Lisa, she's in charge of that. A lot of people wonder, well, how do you deal with this whole traditional policing versus campus policing? I think I've already spoken to that. It doesn't matter to me, it's all community policing. It's what we should focus on, the people, the community we're serving. Our students are our priority, and wherever I am, that's my priority, my community. So I want to make sure that we're interacting and engaging and building those relationships. And I was going to talk to you a little bit about some needs and trends and national issues, but I don't think that's really necessary because it's not pertinent to the whole purpose that I'm here. And I know I've talked a lot about generalities in my career without a lot of, the only reason it happened because I'm a woman, but honestly I don't feel like that is. I feel like I put up a fair fight. I was treated with respect and dignity most of the time, and for the times I wasn't, it's all good. So as your chief of police here at Grand Valley State University, this is what I want for my department. To create a department that functions as an integral part of the university environment with productive partnerships on campus and the community. Provides an atmosphere in which people feel safe, comfortable in their role, and valued in their contributions. A department that is ever mindful and accepting of differences in personalities, ideas, and behaviors. And a department that executes the basics at the highest level with effective and efficient operations so that we are very prepared. And that is all on me. That is what I need to envision for my department. It's what I need to make happen for my department. And we also need to be sensitive to the needs of those we serve and vigilant in the pursuit of those we must police. We are justice seekers. We need to hold people accountable. So what does that mean for me? Who am I? What is the vision for me? The person I want to be is a person who creates positive change, appreciates the good in life, respects and values others, experiences meaningful relationships, and serves others with intent and purpose. You can probably see I tried to use a little acronym there. That's how creative I am. Doesn't really get any better, so I hope you weren't expecting too much. So at the end of the day, this is what I ask myself. Have I done my best? What can I do better tomorrow? And when I look in that mirror, do I like what I see? Sometimes I do, and sometimes I don't. So then I go back to, have I done my best? And I figure out, if I haven't, what do I need to do? I will tell you that I will work every day to bring you my personal best, meaning the entire university. I really do feel blessed to be here, and I hope that you feel confident in me, that you know a little bit more about me today, and you feel good about who's leading your police department and who's thinking about the safety of you and all of our students and visitors on campus. I invite you to reach out to me, have conversations, build relationships, give me your thoughts, ideas. I want to be an integral part of this community, and I just hope at the end of the day you're proud of me and who I am and what I'm bringing to you. So here's my final thought. I don't know Buddha. I'm not that old, but so that's what I think. A generous heart, kind speech, and a life of service and compassion are the things which renew humanity. That's my story.